This is the story of Funcom. If you play video games, chances are you've come across their logo or splash screen at least once. From adventure games, MMORPGs, survival games, to strategy and rhythm games, they have always been pioneers and innovators in whatever genre they got involved in. But their story and history is not as smooth as one would assume. Triumphs, disasters, bugged launches, incomplete games, acquisitions, layoffs, and even a raid by the Norwegian Financial Crimes Division.
Cool. What you've got here is our world building tools. This is what allows us to build inside.
Put the microtransactions down, boy.
Never! And yet, nobody can deny them their rightful place in the Game Developer Hall of Fame, sometimes as the underdog, sometimes as masters of the craft, and sometimes as the villain. For me, this video is personal, as I have spent over 5,000 hours in the worlds they have so lovingly created, from The Longest Journey and Dreamfall to Anarchy Online and Age of Conan, The Secret World Legends, and many, many more. They have always created experiences you love, delivered in a way that you hate. So, like and subscribe if you want to support the channel, and let's get started. Chapter 1. The Early Days. The year is 1993, and the founding team comprised of
Erik Løsen,
as CEO,
Kye Nilsen,
as creative director, and
Gaute Godager,
as game designer, and
Olav Mørkerid.
on keyboards. They would hit the scene and do work as a contracting firm, working primarily on console games for Sony, Sega, Nintendo, and even Disney Interactive and Interplay. With titles such as Dinosaur's Tale, Dragonheart Fire and Steel, and even Casper, they were grinding hard and getting some serious XP under their belt. Casper was particularly interesting as it introduces one Ragnar Tornquist, who would eventually become one of the most influential figures in the company as well as gaming as a whole.
Hi, I'm Ragnar Tornquist. Hi, I'm Ragnar Tornquist.
You see, after working on Casper as a writer and producer, he went on to design and write one of the most highly regarded adventure games of the time. And that game was The Longest Journey that later kicked off the Dreamfall series. The game featured a great story, filled with memorable characters, one of which would eventually become the basis for my personality.
Oh, that's, psychology, isn't it? So, hey, if we hit April with a really big frying pan, she'll come to her senses, right?
What? No!
Yes, it's called therapy. I read about it somewhere. Well, not read, more like heard. In a seedy tavern near the docks. After 11 thimbles of Merry Minstrom's yellow fire.
The team had to develop their own game engine for the game, which would become a habit they struggled with later on. But I still remember this moment when playing The Longest Journey. The background was moving.
What's happening?
I'm not sure if anyone else had implemented this before, but it was the first time I remember seeing it in a video game, and it blew my mind. And so, with the critical and financial success of The Longest Journey, it was time for Funcom to move on to bigger and arguably better things in the shape of Anarchy Online.
My father taught me how to use a gun. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I'll ever be able to put it down.
With Kote as a designer, Ragnar as a main writer, and their own proprietary Dreamworld engine, Rubika, the game's main setting, was ready to welcome its first citizens.
Welcome to the Morning Star. In a short while you will be ferried down to the surface of Rubika, where a new life awaits you. Please proceed through the laboratories and create the identity you wish to take on. Good luck.
Well, only those who managed to play it, that is, as the launch was plagued by the usual MMO launch issues. Unfortunately, the launch was plagued by connectivity, performance, and stability issues. It is to this day remembered as the worst MMORPG launch in history. But, ever the comeback kid, Funcom spent the next 6 months repairing the game and earning the title MMO of the Year by the end of the same year. As a game, Anarchy Online was revolutionary in more ways than one. It featured dynamically generated dungeons, unprecedented freedom in how you can build or brick your character, land control and mass PvP with the introduction of Notum Wars, 2 frames per minute Tara raids, exploits, the first ever instance of in-game advertising in an MMORPG, one of the first MMORPGs to not require a box purchase and just rely on subscriptions, as well as a world that allowed you to make an impact. Shadowlands, the first full expansion for Anarchy Online, was a full game in and of itself. Alien invasion, so players build cities on Rubica only to have to defend them against constant alien attacks. Lost Eden introduced mechs and orbital strikes, and Legacy of the Sun, well, it just introduced an infinite grind that is still enjoyed by those who still play. And yes, Josh, you were wrong. Since Funcom's acquisition by Tencent, the game is not even a shadow of its former self. Systems dumped down, the entirety of the wholesome Noob Island experience stripped and replaced with a soulless new player experience and microtransactions as far as the eye can see. Anyways, I would love to make a 5-hour video explaining why Anarchy Online's character building and leveling system is superior to anything that existed ever since, but that is not the purpose of this video. Major shoutouts to Tomifix, Stormbunny, Ross, Playboy Fixer, Vihab, and anyone who joined the raids I was leading back in my Grid Armor Auto Dancing Fixer days. And so, we move on to 2006 with the release of Dreamfall, the sequel to The Longest Journey. It featured an awesome story written by Ragnar Tornquist, 3D environments, and in general an excellent addition to the adventure game genre. Unfortunately, adventure games were in decline at the time, with the golden age of adventure games, that is the 90s, behind them. While it was an excellent game from all aspects, the majority of the game audiences had now shifted to the next big thing: shooters and MMORPGs. It is still highly regarded and fondly remembered by me and enthusiasts of the point-and-click adventure games genre. And so, it is time to move on to the next major step in Funcom's history: Age of Conan. But first, we need to introduce a new character. Trond S. is the new CEO of Funcom as of September 2002. That's all you need to know for now. There is nothing to see here, just a regular CEO doing regular CEO things.
Eat a bagel!
With one MMORPG under their belt, it was time to make big moves. Age of Conan was not only going to be the WoW killer of the month, it was going to become one of the first action combat MMOs with nudity and jiggle physics. A bold step at the time. The hype was real. The delays were real. And once it was time for the actual release, server crashes, serious performance issues, complete with endless loading screens, bugs, exploits and broken characters, and of course, a major innovation that even Asmongold would approve of. Female characters would do less damage because of the aforementioned jiggle physics. You see, the animation took longer on female characters, but all of this was nothing compared to the main issue. The starting experience of the game was fully voice acted. Everyone was impressed and hopeful for the future of MMOs.
So then, you're not quite dead. This is Tortage, the pirate haven, jewel of the Barachian Isles. To the west is Atlantis, silent and dead under the open ocean. Eastwards lies Hyboria, where the world's doom rises. But your life is ending.
The starting experience for Age of Conan was unparalleled at the time. No other MMORPG featured AAA graphics, a fully based campaign, open PvP, sieges, and a great endgame. Strike that. No MMORPG had all that, and that includes Age of Conan. But that did not stop them from advertising it as if it did. I still remember how excited I was with Tortage and thinking how the game would expand and what incredible stories and zones lies ahead if this was just the introduction. And then Tortage ends. The voice acting ends, the story dumps are boring, the quests are pointless, and the whole thing feels just like another bait and switch. And so, the best contender for WoW Killer in a long time fell on its own sword and was converted to free-to-play only 2 years later. Also, one of the founding members of Funcom, did the same thing and left the company after 16 years of service. Silerion sadly departs from Anarchy Online and takes over AOC. And now it is time to introduce another beloved character in the series in the form of Simon Poole, who would create the music for the majority of Funcom's future titles from that point onwards. As far as the player base count is concerned, it saw the game go from 1 million in sales and 500,000 subscribers to 800,000 subscribers the next month, down to 400,000 the month after that, only to stabilize at around 100,000 until the free-to-play model came to finish the job. Later expansions and content packs did improve the game significantly, but it was too late to recapture an audience that felt betrayed and lied to by the initial promise. Me included. Funcom has started to gain a bad reputation in the MMORPG world, and that was not a good thing for a company that relies on MMORPGs to exist. So, what would any sane company do? Diversify? Focus on smaller scale stable projects? Play it safe? Maybe continue the Dreamfall story in parallel with serious attempts to revive the currently running IPs? Of course not. It was time to quadruple down with a huge next-gen MMO that would end all MMOs. The Secret World. 3 factions with separate storylines and an epic fully voiced and expertly acted cast of characters.
It's all about power. We have stocks in hell and compromising photos of angels. And you can either do or get done. We're the Illuminati, and we're not done.
One word can equal the might of 1,000 swords, and one sword can obliterate 1,000 lies. Everyone and everything has a purpose and a path. We understand. We create chaos in order to achieve balance. The 2 most powerful warriors are patience and time. We are dragon, and we have both.
There is no purpose greater than ours. The world will founder without structure and discipline. We do this because we are compelled by tradition, by loyalty, by laws. Your conviction will be tested, but among us, your faith will be unshaken. Among the Templars.
Tim Pool knocked it out of the park with the music. Ragnar knocked it out of the park with the writing. Martin Brusgaard and Joel Bylos knocked it out of the park with the character and quest design, and Trond Aas, the CEO we mentioned earlier, knocked himself out of the park by selling his share in the company and resigning on the day the game released. This prompted a raid by the Norwegian Financial Crimes Division, which resulted in him being sentenced to spend 13 months in prison, which after an appeal obviously was converted into a 21-day suspended prison sentence. Anyway, the hype machine this time went on overdrive. A cryptic ARG game, multiple Twitter accounts of in-game characters discussing in-game events, and with multiple drops regarding the deep story of the game, there was a lot of content to dive into before the game even released. General excitement for the game was high, and I was one of those who pre-ordered the lifetime subscription pack for the game before it was even released. I did get a cool jacket for it as well, but on release it was not really snakeskin as was advertised. The story was compelling. The graphics were great. The dungeons were some of the best I have seen in any MMO. The atmosphere, music, presentation, and overall vibe was excellent, with a few exceptions. Some animations felt weird and lacked impact. The world felt small and compact, and unfortunately they innovated too much to appeal to a general audience. Also, the Dreamworld engine was now showing its age, and the heavily instant zones felt more like rooms in a lobby game rather than a vast MMORPG world to explore. Add to that Ragnar left the company shortly after the game released to start his own Red Thread games, which he used to make and release a new Dreamfall, and you could see the cracks in both the game and the company starting to form. Also, let us not forget gamer raids. Many people held a grudge from the Age of Conan fiasco and simply refused to give Funcom yet another chance. This was a hard time for the company as a whole. Layoffs and restructuring left and right, bad reviews and a general downward trend. At this time, their logo changed from this to this, and it was time for Funcom to put the final nail in the MMORPG coffin. They decided to re-release the Secret World as Secret World Legends. They removed everything that made the game fun and interesting, added classes, completely removed or dumbed down content, added microtransactions, and worst of all, did not offer anything significant for older players to transfer over to the new game. Thus, the people who loved the game and had already leveled in the old version would either have to start over and pay for progression they had already made, or simply give up on the game altogether. To add insult to injury, my lifetime subscription was not applicable to this new version of the game. But I liked the game enough to give it another go, and even started making YouTube videos and tutorials for it. Here, on this channel you see before you. Honestly, The original Secret World was and remains the far superior version of the game, and the fact that they made it so that it is no longer available to play for anyone, except for those who bought it back in the day, is a decision I still cannot wrap my head around. The servers are still running, it's just that no new people are allowed to join. In my opinion, it is definitely worth it to drop it on Steam for sale as Secret World Classic, and letting everyone who loved the game come back. Who knows, you might even get a few subscriptions and extra box sales. I for one would definitely play again. With all that, it was time for them to change course. They decided to ditch the Dreamworld engine and use their last remaining valuable asset, the Conan license. Unreal Engine, Conan license, survival game. Conan Exiles was the life-saving breath they needed, and its success under the leadership of Joel Bylos was undeniable. Several expansion packs later, they were in a position to make moves again. Metal Hellsinger, Mutant Year Zero, Moons of Madness, all excellent additions to an already impressive catalogue. Which brings us to Dune Awakening. Personally, I have not played this one apart from a 2-hour session during the beta. I am sure it was a great game for a while. I'm sure it has its strengths and shortfalls, and as always, I am certain that there are people who have and will continue to enjoy it. Currently, 6 months after its launch, the current player base seems to be pretty much the same as the current player base for Conan Exiles. If Funcom MMORPGs were movies, they would have been directed by Michael Bay for the first 10 minutes, and then Tommy Wiseau would step in to finish the rest of the movie. So, conclusion. Funcom, good, sometimes. Funcom, also bad, sometimes. It is one of the very few companies that have consistently tried to innovate in the MMO genre and paid a heavy price for it. They seem to have finally found a niche they can work with, and that is encouraging. Hopefully, at some point with their new knowledge, skills and leadership, they will attempt a new MMO at some point, and this time do it right. As far as I'm concerned, Anarchy Online 2 is the next Funcom MMO I would consider trying out if it ever happens. As I was editing this video, like right now, Dune Awakening went on sale, and also I saw this video on my YouTube feed. So, after watching the video, and knowing that I'm kind of a video game necromancer, I'm gonna try it out as soon as the video is up. If you want more information, there will be links for each and every game mentioned in the comments down below, so feel free to watch them. Otherwise, I will be live streaming Dune Awakening for the next couple of days, so feel free to jump in and say hi. Thank you for watching. Like it if you like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you on the next MMO hype train, whatever that may be and whenever that may come. Bye.